Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, or good evening, depending on what time you're watching this video. Today, we are going to install or replace a Headmaster. This has Headmaster is rated for 180 psi, which is an R22 Headmaster. We're running 407C in this condenser. So what's going on here is this unit has fan cycling, and when it's been below 20 degrees, we've had trouble maintaining head pressure even with fan cycling because of wind gusts. So the other day I temporarily put a piece of cardboard here, and I made some slots in the middle. So that's the Headmaster, and somebody snipped a weenie on this. It's been like that for a while. So we're gonna replace this Headmaster today, and that way we can take this off, and it'll run nicely in the summertime, and it will run also nicely when it's freezing cold outside. So this is our Headmaster. This is a static. This serves 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 static coils. So there's no fans. So our suction pressure is real low. So we need a good way of maintaining head pressure. So Headmaster is going to be the perfect solution. So here we go. All right. So first things first, we're going to vacuum the recovery cylinder. So we're gonna vacuum that, pull a deep vacuum on it. Then we're gonna close it and hook up our recovery setup to the condensing unit. So we'll let this run for a bit. All right, so our vacuum in our tank is looking pretty good. So I'm gonna close this tank down. Make sure these are nice and tight. Okay. I'll turn off the vacuum pump. Take these off. So I'm thinking with this Headmaster, I'm going to I'm just gonna put some slip couplings on all three, the inlet, outlet, the 2 inlet and outlet pipes, or the 2 outlet pipes and 1 inlet pipe. I still get confused with Headmasters. So this, I know this says 404, but it's it was empty. All right, so this is nice and vacuumed up. Valves are closed. I'm gonna go ahead and hook up my gauges and start recovery. Alright, so starting the recovery process. I just want to let you know that any hoses that I use that are not on my gauges, I always cover them up, because if you're going to use them for recovery, you want to make sure these hoses are kind of, clean and dry inside. I'm recovering from a valve core remover on the suction and a service valve on the liquid line. I always weigh my refrigerant when I recover it. Let's see. We have a solenoid downstairs, and the solenoid is open right now. So so we're basically, the high side is open to the low side. So whenever I'm recovering or vacuuming, I always set my equipment up out of my way. That way I can still work. So right now, what I think I may do is I'm going to already braise some stubs in. That way all I gotta do is add some slip couplings over there. I think that'll be my best bet. So we'll see how it works out. We got nitrogen for purging, so we'll go from there. Alright, so we're wrapped up here and we're flowing nitrogen in the discharge inlet. So I'm gonna open this up, let it flow, and we're gonna braise. Okay, so your screen goes in your tubing, which goes in your condenser inlet. So don't forget that. It comes right with the Headmaster in that little bag. Alright, so we recovered about 18 pounds of 407C. I got another braze joint here done. Looks like you got a pinhole right there, so gotta be careful sometimes with flux, because flux sometimes tends to leave little pinholes. So I'm gonna take care of that right now. Alright, so with the old one pulled out, I put a 5/8 to half reducing bushing. I landed it on the 1/2 inch already. Made my stubs longer, so basically I'm gonna use slip couplings to attach to there and to there. So I'm gonna take this off again. I'm gonna cut it to length. I'm gonna move it into place, and then I'm gonna move my slip couplings back on the pipes. So this is pretty much the hardest part here, and of course you don't want to overheat this thing, so we gotta put a wet rag on this, and like I've been doing, you know. So I made sure there was no flakes in here. I tapped it out, so we got no flakes, and I pulled that one off. So yeah, if you're doing a Headmaster, it's not the easiest job. You have to make sure you got some slip couplings, because you're never going to be able to, you know, have enough play with these pipes. So we're going to get to it. Okay, so holding a pressure test, 100 psi. We're about 3 minutes in. Yeah, so wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be. I had a little mishap here. I had to make like an extension, but it turned out pretty good otherwise. So whenever you're flowing nitrogen after you recover, there's always like oil in places that you don't want it to be. So you kind of want to just make sure like your braze joints don't have any pinholes. So I'm holding a pressure test now, and your vacuum is only as good as its pressure test. So I'm gonna do like 15 minutes on pressure test mode on the field piece gauges, which are very accurate, and I'm just gonna soap bubble the Headmaster in my service valves, because this is an old unit. So I gotta get rid of this fan cycling here, so I'm just gonna twist the wires together, and yeah, we should be good. I'm hoping 180 psi is going to be high enough for this system. Not the best setup. It's this one compressor is running, I think, 4 TXVs, which I'm not really a fan of but it is what it is. It's here. You know, we're not gonna condemn the whole system because of a head pressure issue. So other than that, I got my scale ready, my refrigerant, my vacuum pump. So I'm just gonna hang around for a bit and maybe read up on that Headmaster paper a little bit while I'm waiting. I got my soap bubbles warming up. They're frozen. So I'm warming them up in here. So we will continue on. Alright, so we're pulling into a vacuum. We're down to 1600 microns. We're gonna let this run for a while. Got my caps on tight. My pressure test passed. Got my soap bubbles there on the Headmaster. So I'm curious to see. It's getting pretty cold out here right now. I'm gonna see what the temperature is. I got my thermistor here. We're gonna see what our temperature is right now. I'll just mount this here for now. Clip it in. Man, these gauges are so nice. If you're considering buying field piece S-Man gauges, definitely I would recommend. It's nice having the vacuum port on it, but I don't keep this hose on normally when I'm working because it's just too bulky. So I take this hose off, I take the clamps off, and I just leave them in the bag, and it's just as compatible or compact as a regular analog set, and it's got all the nice features. So yeah, looking pretty good. Alright, got my refrigerant on the scale ready to go, ready to charge it up. So yeah, looking pretty good. The cardboard worked pretty good in the meantime. Oh, let me show you something that I've been doing lately with old static coils. So basically, like I said, a static coil or a gravity coil is just a evaporator coil that has no fans. So basically cold, the coil's cold and heat is absorbed by the coil, and it just keeps the product cold as a means of gravity. So with gravity coils, especially with older cases, I find that controlling them off an LP is the best way. So basically you want to get your cutout pretty low, so that it stays running, but the cut in is pretty important. So basically you want to cut in at like maybe like a 35 degree evaporator, somewhere in that range. Not every gravity coil system is the same. It's good to have a thermostat just to keep the temperature from going below a certain amount. So typically, like deli cases, the thermostat bulb will be right underneath the evaporator drain pan, and basically that thermostat will be set for like 26 degrees. So basically, if it hits 26, it's just gonna pump down or shut off. But also, your cut-in temperature has to be high enough to where you have a defrost every cycle, because you don't want icicles and frost building up in that coil. You want it to defrost every single cycle, kind of like a reach-in cooler. So I'm probably leaving some stuff out, but yeah, basically you can control a system off an LP. It's kind of it depends on what you have. I'm not gonna say they're all this, you can use the same technique on all systems, but just a tip, you can use the LP to control temperature somewhat. Anyways, yeah, I think I had this one 407C cut out at 20 psi, which is like a 5-degree evaporator, maybe 10. And then the cut-in is like 50 psi. So, which is like 35 degrees. Something just happened here. Just released some refrigerant or something. But we're going down to a vacuum anyways. Must have been a little pocket of refrigerant inside the oil or something. Yeah, it's gonna stay running now because the head pressure is gonna stay consistent.
Yeah. This is build of head pressure, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
And the charge is always, never gonna be any bubbles in the cycle glass. It's always gonna stay like 164, 170, 180. It's never gonna change.
To be honest with you, what you do with the freezer, you kind of like choke that up.